right, welcome in to Mostly Hokies and ONSI Virginia Tech podcast. We're coming to you on Saturday afternoon, shortly after that painful Wake Forest loss, but we are looking forward to baseball in this one. We are brought to you by Ferguson Family Mattress. Did you know the fitted sheet was invented in 1958, and we've been trying to fold it ever since? The Ferguson family, a local Charleston, South Carolina Christian family, has been selling name brand mattresses since 2003, with stores in North Charleston and Somerville and online at fergusonfamilymattress.net. No matter what kind of mattress you have, that fitted sheet will never be easy to fold. Come see us at Ferguson Family Mattress, a proud sponsor of Mostly Hokies. So yeah, we have Josh on. I'm gonna throw it to just Josh here in a second. He's our baseball expert. He laps the rest of us in baseball knowledge. So I'm gonna give it to him and I'm gonna let him go. So the floor is yours, Josh.
All right. Yeah, just quick baseball preview. We're just gonna go over pitchers today. Then just jump right in. I'm gonna start off with notable departures. The first one is we lost Jake Marciano to the portal. He was a true freshman last year who started a good amount of games. I believe almost every Saturday game for Virginia Tech. He ended up landing at Auburn. It'll be interesting to see what he does. We also lost two big time bullpen contributors in Grant Manny and Cameron Lejeune. But other than that, the team and coaching staff did a very good job at retaining talent from a decent pitching staff last year, and they added a lot to it. Starting with Brett Renfro, he had a fantastic season last year, and as a true freshman, started every Friday game or every game one this past season. Missed a couple as a true freshman, was moved to the Saturday role. But yeah, 149 career innings, 4.41 ERA, and this past season he had a 3.89 ERA over 74 innings. 2026 is probably going to be his last year. Super talented player. He's regarded as a top 100 prospect in this upcoming MLB draft. He's a multi-time All ACC player. All ACC freshman is in his first season in 2024. All ACC second or third team, I believe, this past season. And they added a really, really big name next to him in Aiden Robertson, a JUCO transfer from Walters State Community College. He was drafted to the Texas Rangers. And I want to say the 14th round, somewhere around there. Did not sign. He ended up landing back at Virginia Tech. Last year, he had a 13-1 record of 4.12 ERA, and he threw nearly 90 innings. And he had one of the best strikeout rates in the country. He led JUCO in strikeouts. I'm certain of that. I believe he struck out about 15 batters per 9 innings. And Walter State Community College ended up the national runner-up in the JUCO ranks. They lost a tough game towards the end of the or at the end of the season there. He features a pitch mix. He sits around the mid 90s, mid to low 90s with this fastball. He has a changeup and a changeup that works with a slider and cutter as well, that both provide good whiff rates. He's a big time strikeout guy, like I mentioned. He keeps his walk rates down. He's been hit around a little bit. The 4.12 ERA doesn't look fantastic, especially in JUCO. But what's usually more of a telling sign of how somebody can do when taking a big jump up in competition is how well they strike guys out and how well they limit walks. And Aiden Robertson does that. There's no guarantee, but I would find it pretty hard for the coaching staff not to give him a starting position in this upcoming 2026 season. And next up, I mean, you have Griffin Stig. Stig was I'm working to pull him up. Stig in 2024 suffered a UCL injury. He tore his UCL, required Tommy John surgery. He missed the entire 2025 campaign. He was drafted by the Seattle Mariners in the 18th round and opted not to sign. Before he was drafted, he entered the transfer portal and committed to Alabama before he ultimately decided to come back to Blacksburg. In 2024, he threw 51 innings with a 4.70 ERA. He struck out 48 batters and only walked 13. Very impressive number there. Opponents slash 263, 330, and 361 against them. Those are all very good numbers. He's also a mid 90s guy. His fastball has gotten as high as 98 in 2024. He also has a sweeper and changeup in his arsenal that both sit in the low 80s. Another guy who I don't know exactly where he'll fit because this team has a lot more starters than you would typically have. In a typical season, you'll have a team that has really two regular starters, and they kind of have to piece together that third game. Virginia Tech was fortunate enough to have three regular starters throughout most of the season. And in 2025, but this year they most certainly have more. They have Logan Eisenrich, who was the starter, the game three starter last year. Missed a couple weeks due to some minor injuries, but he had a 4.88 ERA. He struck out 32 batters over 24 innings. He did walk a lot of guys. Big time control issue, especially getting into ACC play. There were a good amount of situations that I remember being at a game, and it's just he walks the first two batters and would somehow manage to get out of the inning, or get two more outs before he'd get relieved. You know, he only threw 24 innings. I believe he started 12 games, 11 games maybe. He did limit hits pretty well, only 18 hits in the 24 innings and just four for extra bases. He did touch 99 in the fall, as Virginia Tech baseball posted. Uh, I mean, he's a big time guy. I think that he's kind of likely to fit into maybe that Grant Manning role that we saw last year. Manning was a big time long reliever. Typically on those Saturday games, Jake Marciano would get pulled after probably 3 2/3, and then he would you'd see Grant Manning go in there and finish the game, pitch 5 innings of very good baseball. I think Logan Eisenrich is a candidate to be put in that position. Another candidate for that position is Madden Clement, who, looking to pull him up now, who could also be a contender to start. He was supposed to start this previous season. Unfortunately, he got injured and missed the entire season with, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I believe it was a right elbow injury. It was not a torn UCL. I believe it was just something that lingered, would not go away. He only pitched in the, I think, game two against Bucknell. He threw 3.1 innings scoreless, or no earned runs. There was one unearned run, and he only allowed one hit in that frame before he ultimately got injured and won't miss the rest of the season. He was a huge, huge missing part of the bullpen for Virginia Tech, and I think that having him could have been the difference between making the tournament. He's a very, very talented pitcher. Saw a good amount of time as a true freshman, especially in those midweek roles. He started the game against JMU earlier in his true freshman season. Moving down to the more solidified bullpen, my favorite name is Preston Crowell. He made a huge jump in 2025. Had a 5.82 ERA as a freshman. In 2024. That 5.82 was across 17 innings. He honestly is probably Virginia Tech's most reliable short relief bullpen arm. He had a 3.9 ERA across 32 and a third with while striking out 11.97 batters per 9 innings. If Crowd can make another jump like that, you could see Virginia Tech have a guy kind of like Kieran Higgins was. In that 2022 season, where you saw Virginia Tech end up in the super regionals, where they ended up losing to Oklahoma. Moving on from him, you have Luke Crater, who didn't have a fantastic season last year. He walked a lot of guys, had a lot of trouble, but he got up to 100 miles an hour with his fastball over the fall. He had a very, very good summer where his ERA was somewhere in the high threes, maybe low fours. He doesn't allow a ton of hits. If he can kind of just manage to control that fastball a little better than he has, you could see Luke Crater become a very, very big part of this bullpen. I think that he kind of slots in best in the closer role. with the high velocity, you can see him come out, get three batters, end the game. He saw that a little bit this previous season earlier on, and that's kind of when his season fell apart. Was kind of after he got moved out of that role into a kind of more often higher leverage role. Yeah, his season kind of fell apart, and see if he can make a big step forward here. High velocity guy who can strike batters out, honestly. And speaking of somebody who can strike batters out, Chase Swift, as a true freshman last year, was the primary midweek starter. He hurt his right shoulder against, I believe it was Troy. That was the Hokies' first game on the season as a ranked team before they ultimately got swept by Florida State, fell out of the rankings, and would never find themselves back in those rankings. He started 8 games with a 3.99 ERA over 29.1 innings. He struck out over 14 batters per 9 innings. His fastball does sit pretty low. I believe he topped out at 89, maybe 90, which is a little low for the ACC, especially coming out of the bullpen in those higher leverage situations. I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if you saw him back in that midweek spot. Because his fastball, his stuff is good. It's just he doesn't have the velocity, maybe for the ACC. So it's definitely likely that you could see him back in that midweek role as somebody who could maybe even throw more innings. Like I said, he only threw 21.1, or sorry, 29.1 over 8 games. So that's just over 3 per game. You could see him if the Hokies choose to go that way. You could see them maybe slot him in as a starter who could throw 5, 6, 7 innings and really, really help out the bullpen in those midweek games. It can really crush a bullpen in some of those tougher ones. Like those games can really make or break how the following weekend will go. Moving over to the left side, Josh Rozanski transferred in from a D3 Penn State satellite school. I do not remember which one off the top of my head. He had a solid first season in Blacksburg. He had a 3.38 ERA across 21.1 innings. Didn't pitch much against the ACC. Got injured, I believe, in mid-April, and the Hokies never saw him pitch again, if I'm not mistaken. He was very, very productive when he did see the mound. If he can make a jump under new pitching coach Doug Wiley, he could absolutely be an impact arm for the Hokies from the left side. And staying on that left side, you have Brendan Yagish, who was injured early on last year and kind of had a weird season. I don't think he ever really got rid of a nagging injury that I wasn't totally sure of what it was. He only saw 13.1 innings last year. He was really a guy who would come in, get 1 or 2 outs against lefties. He has this big looping breaking ball that induces swing and miss. It'll start at a batter's head and end up at the plate. It'll land on the plate, and it makes it hard, especially from that left side, for a lefty to track that ball and hit it. His fastball sits in the high 80s. He does have starting experience. He is somebody who could also see a midweek role should the Hokies decide to go in that direction. But yeah, he started at Mount St. Mary's, but I think he's still a bullpen arm. He could really be that lefty specialist for Virginia Tech, and I like where the Hokies sit on that front, especially on the left side out of the bullpen. Let's see. Now you have Ben Weber. Not totally sure how that one's pronounced. I've heard both. It's spelled Weber, which makes me think it's Weber, but I've heard most people pronounce it Weber. He committed out of the transfer portal on June 28th, following head coach Doug Wiley. He's somebody who really could see a spot start, but I see him more of a swing man. He's somebody else who could really fit into that Grant Manning role from last season. He does not strike guys out. He has an incredibly low walk rate and induces weak contact. I mean, it's honestly up to where the staff sees him. I don't see him being a day one starter, but he absolutely could be somebody who sees a spot start due to injury or fatigue, even. Or I off the top of my head, I don't believe that the Hokies have a two consecutive days against the same opponent in the midweek, which typically does happen. They might. I don't remember off the top of my head. If they do, you could see him get a start in that role, pitch 4 or 5 innings. He did start some at Xavier, so it's honest. It's really up to where the staff sees that he fits. He's a very intriguing prospect. I don't know exactly where I would slot him in at. Moving over to the transfer portal, this is somebody who really intrigued me. Peyton Smith was was really confusing when he first committed. He was mediocre at best. His ERA sits over 10 through his career. He was at Dallas Baptist and Texas A&M for his first 3 years. But since this previous season has wrapped up, Smith has switched to a kind of a low sidearm profile with a fastball and sinker that both run in the low 90s. And his sweeper is unbelievable. He's posted a couple pieces of his tape on Twitter since he has switched to that sidearm profile, and he's really intriguing. John Sheff has spoken very, very highly about him, and I think that he's absolutely somebody who could play a huge role in this Virginia Tech bullpen next year if things go well for him. Another one is Brody Rowe, which also an interesting one. He's been at best average throughout his career. He pitched 8 2/3 innings for Kansas State last season. He was at Murray State College as a starter, not Murray State Racers, who were in Omaha last year. It's a lower level, I believe, a Division III, if I'm not mistaken. He's similar to Peyton Smith, sidearm guy. From the left side, though, has a fastball sitting in the low 90s with a secondary and tertiary pitch that work well. I don't remember what those are off the top of my head, but I do remember seeing the numbers on those. They do work quite well. Doug Wiley, huge analytics guy. If he can use the pitching staff well, and if that can be useful to Brody Rowe, I could see him to be a candidate to make a jump. I don't think he'll be a big time arm. I think he'll be maybe at best he's more of those midweek arms in those cleanup roles in those games that kind of get ugly going either way. But he's absolutely somebody who you could see make an impact. And moving over to a true freshman who really intrigues me, Ethan Grimm went undrafted after being listed as a top 200 prospect according to MLB.com's draft board. His fastball sits in the low 90s. It tops out at 94. There's nothing there's nothing really spectacular on the velocity front, but his big the big thing that got him on the boards of a lot of MLB scouts is he dominated the 2024 East Coast Pro Showcase. He struck out 6 of the 9 batters he faced, and through 3 consecutive innings, all 9 batters he faced went down in order. Posted a 106 ERA in 52 innings in his previous season, or in his latest season in high school. He's overall throughout his high school career, he tallied a 1.65 ERA over 208.1 innings, had over 300 career strikeouts. Really, really talented guy. If the Hokies opt to go for a midweek starter, kind of like what they did with Chase Swift going after a true freshman, I could absolutely see Ethan Grimm fitting into that role. And you also have a true freshman, Tyler Stone. Really flew under the radar in a big way over the summer. He played and I want to say the New Britain League. I remember he had a sub-3 ERA across around 15 to 20 innings. The big thing I remember, I have this written down, is he threw strikes on 62% of his pitches, which is an unbelievable number, especially for a true freshman. He is definitely somebody who could make an early impact. Again, as somebody who could be that midweek starter, is with how many starters or how many experienced guys they have that have been able to throw a good amount of innings. I think that the Hokies are probably going to want to establish an actual midweek starter. Might take a couple of weeks to figure out who the right guy for that is. But I think that Tyler Stone's absolutely a candidate who could see himself in that role. I'm scrolling up through, make sure I didn't miss anybody. I don't believe I have. Okay, last one I've missed. Jacob Exum. Jacob Exum had a very good 2024, pitched a sub-4 ERA over 24 innings. I believe he was a true freshman, maybe a redshirt freshman that year. Dropped off quite a bit in 2025. He had a 5.19 ERA over 17.1 innings. He's got a kind of a funky three-quarter arm slot from the right side. And I think that he's absolutely somebody who could see a bounce back year in 2026. Especially the program has a new pitching coach, Doug Wiley. They also have Chase Loomis, who is more in an analytical role. He pitched at Texas and was very good not long ago, I believe 2 years ago. And I overall really like what this new pitching staff has brought. I really like the talent on this roster. I think this is the best pitching team that John Sheff has had since the year after COVID, which is when I started watching college baseball and Virginia Tech baseball. I think this is very arguably the most talented roster on the pitching side. There's definitely some question marks where certain guys going to fit. Where certain guys are going to fit, how they're going to play. Are these certain true freshmen going to play? That's definitely still up in the air, but I really like where the team is overall. I like where this pitching staff is overall. I think that there are some elite starters. I think that this might be a top 5 pitching staff in the ACC, maybe as good as top 3 with a top 3 starting rotation. It's really a matter of who's going to be that midweek starter if the Hokies opt to go for one of those full-time or to put a guy in one of those full-time roles and where certain guys fit in. Is Luke Crater going to be a closer? Will he see more early season high leverage or early game high leverage spots? Where's Preston Crowell going to fit in is a big question mark to me, because you kind of saw him be the first guy to the bullpen at some points, and sometimes you didn't see him over the weekend until Sunday. But yeah, that's about all that I have for you guys on the pitching staff side. We'll be back here with the position players here in the next couple of days, maybe a week or so from now. Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys.